Primetime Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Primetime Local News. Connor Chan and Elise Darwish, as always, bringing you all the great stuff around the region and, of course, other news as well, including our question of the day. What's the best or worst experience you've had when it comes to living with somebody?
It's a good question. I've had several roommates. I think the worst situation was just because I was living with a nurse, so her schedule was all over the map, and we were both opposites. So she'd do dishes at 3 in the morning while I was sleeping, and vice versa. So that wasn't super ideal, but yeah.
My roommate, one of my older roommates would take, I think, probably an hour-long shower.
Oh no.
Hogging the bathroom for a good period of time, but
that's not.
That's all it is.
You got to deal with that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. Well, we're going to have more coming up later, but right now let's head over to Josh Ryan, who's live down at the CPCA tarp sale.
Thanks very much. We're here at the Lloyd X for the 20th annual tarp sale for the CPCA, 27th anniversary of the CPCA finals. This is where each of the drivers will get a chance to be bidded on by various sponsors, local and around the far area. They just had the tarp sale at the Calgary Stampede recently. Several drivers making out very nicely there. We'll see who comes out on top this evening as well for what should be another very exciting chuck wagon season. That's it for me here at the Lloyd X, but we'll be back in a few minutes. Back to you guys in studio.
And April 6th is a day Canadians will remember for a long time after last year's Humboldt Broncos bus crash. But on April 7th, it will be the actions of one Bronco who passed away in the crash that will be honored for years to come. Our Brett Holden has the story.
Of the 16 members of the Humboldt Broncos hockey team who passed away in last year's tragic bus crash, it'll be the decision made by Broncos defenseman Logan Boulet that will be honored around the country on April 7th.
Logan was one of the Humboldt Broncos involved in the accident, tragically lost his life, and he had declared his intent and chosen to be an organ donor. Following the accident and the news of his donation, there was a spike in registered intents. It's referred to as the Logan Boulet effect.
The day has been declared by the Minister of Health, Sarah Hoffman, as Green Shirt Day in Alberta and will be recognized across Canada. But the Canadian Transplant Association and the Boulet family say they just want to spark the conversation between families.
The reality is that in speaking with people, the statistic says 90% of people are in favor of donating organs or tissue upon their passing, but only 27% have actually taken the step to register their intent, put the little heart on their Saskatchewan healthcare card. And so it's really just awareness. But even more important is that people talk with their family.
Since the 7th is a Sunday, the CTA says that for schools and businesses that are not open in our area, there are options for them to be able to celebrate the day.
They can do it either on the Friday before or the Monday following, April the 7th. That date was chosen as the anniversary date of Logan's passing, and so it will always be April 7th each year. We have printed posters. They are available for free at Wise Marketing, and you can just fill in on the poster the day your business or school wishes to participate in Green Shirt Day.
And the impact of the Logan Boulet effect can be felt everywhere, even in Lloydminster.
I received both a kidney and a pancreas. I was insulin needle dependent diabetic for 27 years. I have not had to take a needle since my operation. I was on dialysis for 4.5 years, and if you really want to see how horrible that is, go to check out the dialysis clinic we have at our own hospital. It's not a pleasant experience. It's not something I would wish on anybody.
On top of Green Shirt Day, the third week of April is known as National Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Week. Brett Holden, Primetime Local News.
200 people die every year waiting for an organ donation. To learn more about organ donations and Green Shirt Day, you can visit greenshirtday.ca. And one archer in Bonnyville doesn't let limited arm movement affect his love for the sport. The archery club in Bonnyville has partnered with him to make a special device so he can shoot. Justin Marshall has the story.
Well, we're at the Beaver River Fishing Game Building here in Bonnyville, Alberta, shooting some archery with Josh Katish. Josh, what's this device to help you shoot?
It's a shoulder, like a hockey shoulder pad plus bike brake on it that will be the release of my, so I can shoot the arrow, and it helps me pull the string back on the bow, and
So how much do you enjoy archery, Josh?
I really enjoy archery. I did it when I was at Keepsky High, when I was younger. So I always have enjoyed it since I've tried it.
And you were really shooting some dingers. You almost hit the balloon a few times, eh?
Yes. And that makes me happy as well. Like, that makes me happy to keep on trying to do anything is possible when you give it a shot.
Well, Josh Katisha, one of the many archers here at the Beaver River Fishing Game Building, and the Dove Center also helping him out, and a couple other sponsors to put this great thing together. For Primetime Local News, I'm Justin Marshall.
And now we're going to go to Josh Ryan, who's live on location at the tarp sale today.
Thanks very much. I'm joined by last year's 6th place finisher BJ Carey, also coming away with a nice total at the Calgary Stampede tarp sale, $100,000. So congratulations there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you obviously had a very busy, as we were talking off camera, had a very busy off season coaching hockey in Lac La Biche amongst other things. How excited are you to be back on the track very soon?
Well, with the warm weather, it's very enticing, and can't wait to get back out there. Losing half the season last year, broken finger, it makes it exciting to get going and not break a finger this year.
And you were saying you're also excited about your crop of horses this year. What can you tell us about your horses?
Well, I'll have the main ones back. So we started strong, finished strong, and we're going to work about 16 new ones in. So I got a crop of 50 horses, and we're going to try getting as much going as we can and see if we can be in the top again.
And obviously it's an exciting year generally in the CPCA. A female driver joining the ranks, as well as Ray Mitzwing in his last year. So a lot of storylines for you guys as you're expecting another tight field, I suppose.
Yeah, you betcha. I think there's going to be more guys at the top fighting for those top spots, a lot tighter. Guys improve every year, and that's what the top guy's going to do too. So with Amber starting this year, it's exciting for a new driver, and Ray in his last year, it's exciting for a guy like that, a legend in the sport, to be going out.
Absolutely, and we'll certainly cover that closely over the course of this season. Plenty more to come on tonight at the Lloyd X, but first, let's head back into studio for a look at your local weather.
All right, thanks very much, Josh. Take a look at your current temperature right now. 1 degree where it's sunny and a bit of clouds. Of course, this morning we did have some snow, and we did have that for about maybe an hour or so, but now we're warmed up and we're back to sunshine right now for us here in Lloydminster. Some records this time of year. 22 degrees was the warmest day back in 1992, and minus 21 was the coldest day back in 1982. Still some decent winds, though, over 20 kilometers an hour, so it feels a little bit cooler out there. The cloud precipitation has died down a little bit in the Edmonton areas. Of course, we did have a lot of that yesterday on the radar map, where it showcased pretty much a quarter of that map was covered, but today it is starting to die down, as we'll take a look later on in our 7-day forecast. No watches or warnings for our area right now. Take a look at some current temperature right now. 4 degrees for Edmonton and Athabasca, 6 in Red Deer, 7 for Rocky Mountain House, 13 degrees for Jasper, and 7 out in Whitecourt, 2 degrees out in North Battleford currently, 1 degree out in Saskatoon, minus 3 for Melfort and Prince Albert, and 0 degrees for Meadow Lake. So take a look a little more in depth to our regional temperatures. Minus 8 overnight in North Battleford with the cloudy skies, warming up to 7 degrees tomorrow as a daytime high with mostly cloudy skies and a bit of sun there. Minus 9 overnight in Cold Lake with cloudy skies and a chance of some flurries there. 7 degrees is the daytime high tomorrow with cloudy skies and a bit of sun coming out there. Minus 6 overnight for us here in Lloydminster with a few cloud periods, and 8 degrees tomorrow for our daytime high with a bit of cloud coverage and a little bit of sunshine. Take a look at the next 3 days. 7 degrees will be our daytime high on Thursday. Again, mostly cloudy, a bit of sun popping up, and then 5 degrees on Friday with a 56% chance of some flurries there with that low of minus 4. Still going to be cooler in the mornings for the next little bit here until we get to the weekend, which we'll show later in our 7-day forecast, but we'll take a quick break right now with more primetime local news coming up.
Welcome back. Well, between the China canola impasse and the carbon tax, producers are facing an uphill battle ahead of seeding season. Gerard Lampo finds out the latest from the carbon front.
We may have trouble dealing with the government of China, but we're certainly hoping that we have better luck getting the government of Canada.
The Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan is calling for more offsets on the carbon tax as they argue it will adversely affect farmers. Given estimated increases to rail and trucking, heating and electricity, their preliminary numbers put the additional costs to producers at $2 per acre.
We've asked the federal government for some of these numbers. We haven't received them. That's why we're putting them out there. We'd like them to prove us wrong. We haven't seen any numbers from the federal government. We're assuming they have put those numbers forward, but we haven't been able to see them yet. So let's have those numbers, and let's talk about increasing our exemptions. Farm fuel exemption is one thing, but there's a lot of direct and indirect costs that producers are going to bear here.
APAS also wants the federal government to give them credit for the carbon sequestration which ag producers contribute through their operations.
We are world leaders in sequestration. It's something that is measurable. We have good science to back it. The federal government doesn't want to give us credit for it, be it on a carbon pricing system or an offset program. I think the government of Saskatchewan is looking towards that, but we haven't had a chance to implement it because the federal government has stepped in over Saskatchewan in this jurisdiction. So
APAS has intervenor status in the carbon court case.
It's before the court. It's a very complicated constitutional matter. The court is doing their due diligence. There was a number of cases that were mentioned during the process.
Even with fuel exemptions, APAS will continue to press the federal government on sequestration and quantifying indirect costs. But the China canola battle is still in the fray.
Canola on one side and carbon on the other. We have a number of trade issues that are external to Canada.
Gerard Lampow, Primetime Local News.
That's your egg news. Sports is next, but first we'll take a look at your egg prices.
Every member of the City Centre Auto Body team has been through extensive training. We're constantly upgrading our team's education to reflect current collision repair technique.
Taking a look at your local sports now, the Lakeland Wrestlers Awards banquet is just over a week away, and 2018 Female Athlete of the Year, Ray Sigerson, will likely come away with more hardware. However, despite winning championships and MVPs, her defining moment as an athlete came from losing her spot on the court. Josh Ryan has more.
Ray Sigurdsson recently capped her wrestler career with a bronze medal and ACAC Player of the Year selection. But when she chose to write a piece in Student Athlete Stories, a website dedicated to allowing college players to share their experiences, she talked about what at the time felt like a massive failure.
I don't know what else I would write about. That was kind of the defining moment of my career.
After an all-star rookie campaign, Sigurdsson was benched in favor of veteran teammate Alex McGregor, then Alex Unger. What started out as frustration and anger for the young setter taught her the importance of sacrificing for a team.
It was kind of like win or lose. Like that was how I defined a lot of things, basing it on awards and people noticing you and stuff like that. And that's not what it's about.
That lesson, along with several others, also came from watching McGregor, the girl who stole her spot.
I was like, who is this girl that she's talking about? And it was me. I had no idea. I texted her right after and I said, Ray, I had no idea. Like, I was jealous of you.
A lot smarter than anyone that I ever got to play with, and I got to learn a lot from her. Always kind of picked me up when I was down, and even when she did steal my spot, she was still that for me, and I think that's pretty cool to have that relationship with someone because I don't think that always happens.
McGregor, who battled injuries in her final season, found inspiration in turn from her young teammate.
She is unbelievable. She came in guns hot, and I don't think people truly understand how good of an athlete Ray is.
Sigurdsson hopes that by talking about that moment, younger athletes will be able to embrace taking on any role on their respective teams.
It was a nice way for me to tell people and kind of admit to myself that that was really what defined me in my career. So to a lot of younger players that get to read that, hopefully that they realize that a lot earlier than I did.
Josh Ryan, Primetime Local Sports.
And now we're going to go to Josh Ryan, who is live on location at the tarp sale right now.
Thank you. We're back here at the Lloyd X, and I'm joined by Owen Noble, the show chairman for the CPCA, a position you've had near 20 years now, correct?
Yeah, it's been close to that. I was on the committee before, but then I took over chair, I'm guessing around 20 years ago. So,
A fair amount of time. You certainly enjoyed yourself.
yes, no, it's one of those things, if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't do it. But no, I've had a lot of fun and meeting a lot of people and working with the CPCA and just the volunteers. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's easy to get volunteers to work for it. And yeah, it's just enjoyable, that's all.
It was certainly an enjoyable season last year, as there was a bit of history made with Dale Mitswing, the first rookie ever to win the CPCA finals challenge. This year, we have a female dryer for the first time, Amber LaRue, as well as Ray Mitswing, Dale's dad, competing in his last season. What's your favorite storyline or favorite thing that's going to be new to the CPCA this year that you're excited about?
Well, like you said, the female driver, that's going to be good because everybody's going to kind of focus on her. But again, seeing Ray run his every show he's at, it'll be the last time he's at that show. So it's going to be rewarding that way to watch it and kind of sad to see him go. But I'm looking forward to this year, and they've got a full slate of shows on their schedule. So, no, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun and some good races.
And we certainly had competitive races last year. It came down to the wire on that final day. Are you expecting a similar sort of field this year?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's one of those things you don't really know, but you're looking at the same guys, and those guys that were there before are just going to try and get that much better. So it's going to make it, I think, probably more interesting, and there's a better group, like a bigger group going to Calgary this year. So all in all, that makes it that much better of a show kind of thing.
And five seconds or less, if you had to use one word to describe this upcoming season, what would it be?
Exciting.
Fair enough. Let's head it back to the studio where we'll take a look at the question of the day.
Fortunately, Josh, it's not question of the day. We're looking at your weather. We'll get to question of the day in just a little bit here. 1 degree currently right now for us here in Lloydminster, 3 degrees in Vermilion and Marwayne, 4 degrees out in Edmonton and Vegreville, 5 also for Provost, 3 degrees out in Bonnyville and Lac La Biche, 3 degrees for Maidstone right now, 2 degrees in North Battleford, -1 out in Meadow Lake and Green Lake, a little cold out in Isle of Cross, sitting at -5. Take a look at some other temperatures. La Loche sitting at -4, as well as Buffalo Narrows. La Ronge sitting at -7, -11 out in Wollaston Lake and Uranium City, -10 out in Stony Rapids, a little cooler out in Saskatchewan, -6 for Flin Flon in Alberta, 6 degrees right now for Grand Prairie, 3 degrees right now for Slave Lake, 2 degrees for Peace River, -1 for Fort McMurray, -6 out in Fort Chipeway, and -1 for High Levels. We head down south now. 10 degrees for both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, 9 degrees for both Calgary and Banff, and 5 degrees right now for Coronation. Over in southern Saskatchewan, 7 degrees right now in Kindersley, 6 degrees out in Swift Current, 4 degrees for Moose Jaw, 2 for Regina, 0 in Estevan. We'll take a look at some temperatures for tomorrow. 8 degrees will be our daytime high. Very nice temperatures, but that wind still plays a bit of a factor, so it might feel a little closer to maybe 5 or a little bit less than that. 8 degrees for us here in Lloydminster, 7 for Maidstone in North Battleford and Pierceland. Cold Lake and Bonnyville also sitting at 7 degrees, 5 degrees out in Meadow Lake, -1 in Isle Across there. Wainwright sitting at 11 degrees, as well as Edmonton and Vegreville. St. Paul sitting at 6 degrees, Lac La Biche also sitting at 7, and Provost and Macklin sitting at 12 degrees, while Vermilion is at 9 degrees and Marwayne at 10. As we take a look at your school day forecast for tomorrow, -5 to start off the morning at 8 a.m. with mostly sunny skies and a few clouds. More clouds will kind of start to roll in around recess time with -2 as it drops down. And it gets warmer at lunchtime with 2 degrees with a bit of sun, and more clouds start to roll in. And then our that daytime high there at 6 degrees around home time, where it's just mostly cloudy skies for that walk home. Take a look at the next 7 days. It's going to be cloudy for the majority of it. 7 degrees on Thursday with a bit of sun there. 5 degrees on Friday with a 56% chance of some flurries, maybe similar to what we saw this morning. 6 degrees on Saturday with cloudy skies. 10 degrees on Sunday with more sunshine and a few clouds. 60% chance of some rain on Monday with 13 degrees. And 12 degrees on Tuesday with a 56% chance of snow with that low of +1. Let's look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
And welcome back to the Lloyd X. I'm here with CPCA driver Danny Ringette. Danny, who of course had a great run at the CPCA finals last year, jumped up a few spots in the standings thanks to those 4 days. How excited are you to be outside of, I know there's some snow on the ground still, but we're very close to being able to get out in the wagons and out on the track once again.
Well, it's been a long 5 months, that's for sure. You know, this time of year after all these auction sales here, it's the best time of year. The horses are feeling good, and I'm feeling good, and probably start here in the next couple days with the training. And you know, like I said, it's too long since middle of August last year, so just ready to get at her.
I guess also explain maybe to the audience just how big this evening is, because obviously the type of sponsorship you get from the businesses and entrepreneurs here in town that come and bid on you guys, that makes the difference in terms of certainly funding and stuff like that for how you do this year. And going forward year by year, that makes a big difference as well.
You know, everything helps. This business is it's a big business, and it costs a lot of money to go down the road. So everything that we get here, I think, is already spent, because we're getting all this money and we're putting it right back into our business and trying to get better. And you know, and I think it's working. The last few years here have been really good, and hopefully we can keep it up this year.
What's your expectation for yourself this season? You've made slow incremental growth over the last couple of years, but what's going to take for you to jump? Do you want to jump into the top 10? What's an ideal finish for you this year?
Well, the last 2 years I was 10th and 11th, and this year my goal is to finish in the top 4 in the tour. So I think I got the horses to do it, and this is my 6th year driving. I'm going to Calgary this year to the Stampede. So this year is a really exciting year for me, and hopefully it all works out the way I planned it anyways, that's for sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing you take to the track along with the rest of the CPCA field. Let's head back to studio, where this time we'll be looking at the question of the day.
Yes, this time, Josh Ryan, we are talking about the question of the day. And our question of the day today is, what was your best or worst experience living with somebody? There's a lot of interesting comments. Just want to read a few here. I don't want to go and read all of them because they're pretty long here. Some of them are people that took stuff. That's a fair one.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, I had my old roommate took my extension cord when she moved out, so she had to go buy a new one just to plug in my car.
Yeah.
Another one was my roommate took 1 hour showers twice a day.
Oh my goodness.
And I know you live with a roommate now.
Yes,
and,
I do, and she works here too.
Yes.
And oddly enough, we have the best working relationship and living relationship. So that could have gone one or two ways. That could have been terrible because you got to work and live with the person, or it's awesome. And luckily, it's pretty awesome. I have no problems living with her actually, so it's kind of nice. Yeah.
Another comment that someone wrote for that question is living with in-laws.
Oh yeah, nobody wants that.
If my mother, when she's older and I have a wife and she comes to live with me, I know how my mother is, and I can't imagine, I can't picture that. It's not going to be good.
No,
it's
well
not.
Then let's avoid living with in-laws then.
Yeah, exactly. And another one actually here I found interesting was that I shared a house with a gentleman, and that he brought a big Doberman home, and when he came home, the dog went to the bathroom in the house. And he had to deal with all that.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, it's not. But let's quickly turn to pets just before we run out of time on this segment, as we kind of were mentioning of dogs. This is Smoke, submitted by Carrie.
Cute.
Just nice little upside down smile there. Next up, we have Charlie, who's just got his head in the plastic cup there.
Charlie's cute.
Very cute, submitted there by Jolene. Next, we have Percy, by Cindy. He's just chilling.
He's got the little dog syndrome. I think he's a little dog.
He's cute though.
Yeah.
Next we have Nibbles, the little gerbil.
Oh,
very
there you
adorable.
go.
Submitted
Very
there by
fitting
Sharon.
name.
Yeah, and now last but not least, this is Lana and Trig.
Cute.
Just trying to give some love to her brother there.
Yeah.
Well, if your pet was shown on today, you're automatically able to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card, which we're giving away on Friday.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
With Becca Lawrence from the Lloyd SPCA for this week's pet project, and we brought in another friend here today, and this one's a little special because he had a bit of a rough go, but his name is very fitting for
Yeah.
his attitude. So do you want to kind of just explain who we have here?
Yeah, so this is Hercules. So he came into the shelter obviously in a little bit of rough shape.
Yeah.
His ears were completely frozen off, and his tail as well. You just can't see it right now.
Yeah.
But then he also has a little bit of a cut lip here too. So he's going to be a funny looking fellow when he gets big
Yeah.
as well, just as the way he's looking now. But it adds to his, he's a bit unique looking kind of thing. And yeah, so we think of just a few of the cats from that February cold spurt there. We're kind of starting to get them in a little bit and then fixing them
Yeah,
up. So
they had a bit of a rough start,
Yeah, a bit
but
of a rough-
good to go now. Lots of,
Yeah.
you said he's kind of changed his attitude because
Yeah.
when he first came in, he wasn't super friendly, and now he's
Yeah.
all over the place. So
yeah, he was a little untrusting initially, but now he loves all the pets and everything.
good, yeah. So, and how old is Hercules?
He's only about 8 months old, we think. Yeah.
Okay,
so he's
so
still
still
a baby, still. Yes.
Yeah, and how is he with the other animals in the shelter? I always ask that, just if
Yeah.
someone's looking to adopt and they've got other animals already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like so far he seems to not really mind them too much.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really tried him in there because we were just letting him kind of heal up a
Yeah,
bit more.
yeah.
But because he had his tail amputated as well, so we want those stitches out and everything first. But
Yeah.
I think he would be a good candidate to try if he's still there when he gets all healed up to go into a condo with some other cats kind
Yeah.
of thing. I think he would like the company.
for sure. And so is he ready to go now that the surgery's done? You can adopt him right away.
Yeah, we did the neuter and the amputation at the same time,
Yeah.
so he's all good to go now. If it's not self-dissolved stitches, then we'll let you know when those stitches have to come out, and we'll get you hooked up at the vet kind of thing to get those fixed up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Ready
he's
to
he's
explore,
ready.
he's
Yes.
excited, feels good. He
Yeah.
had a bit of a rough start, but he's good now.
Yeah, feeling much better.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
no,
super
he's
sweet
good to go
face.
to his new home.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to talk about, because of the harsh winters that we do have here, you do sometimes have to do those kind of surgeries, right? So there are certain ways to donate specifically to that fund.
Mm-hmm.
And you were also looking for some funds for an animal currently at the shelter. Do you want to kind of just touch on what's going on there?
Yeah, so we have another one at the shelter. His name's Max,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not up on our website, but he's up for viewing at the shelter. But he has a bladder stone, so he needs a surgery for that.
Yep.
So we were quoted around the $400 mark, a little bit more expensive if anything goes wrong kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so we're just looking for some to raise a little bit of funds for him so he
Yeah.
can get that surgery, because he's quite an entertaining cat.
Yeah.
He says good morning every day that we're in there, and make sure you stop and see him too. So
there you go.
yeah,
Well,
we-
there you go. Like, because it's nice to know, like, everybody who wants to donate wants to know it's going to a good cause. So then that way you can specifically know that you're helping one certain animal. So it's kind of
Yes.
nice to know that that's where that money's going.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for coming in today.
Oh, yes.
Hercules is adorable, and if you're looking for a little bit of a unique looking cat
yes.
in a loving way, Hercules is your go-to. So definitely stop by the shelter anytime and call. So thank you so much for coming in today,
Yes,
Becca. We
thanks for having
appreciate
us.
having you every week. Love it.
Yeah.
Pet Project is brought to you by Quick Pick Waste Disposal, Lloydminster's #1 waste and recycling hauler. Quick Pick is waste collection you can depend on.
And now we're going to go to Josh Ryan, who's live on location at the tarp sale today.
Welcome back. I have two very special guests with me. Amber LaRue, the first female to ever hop into a wagon at the CPCA level and compete in the Chuck Wagon racing season. To my right, I have the defending CPCA champ, Dale Mitzwing. We'll start with Amber. You're making history. What does that feel like to be a history maker this season?
It's a lot to take in, to say the least. It's what I've been doing for most of my life. So the history making thing is, I guess it is what it is, but this has been my goal and my dream since I was a young girl. So I'm just excited to be out there with everybody.
And now, Dale, you made some history yourself, the first rookie to ever win the CPCA championship. Do you have that kind of expectation on yourself again to be in that Final Four and to compete in that final race?
Well, everybody's kind of hoping so, like, that's kind of your goal, so I'm just going to play it by ear and run clean, and it's the best I can do.
Fair enough. Now, both of you obviously have a background in the sport before, as we were talking off camera. Many years of outriding, 12 years, in fact, outriding for Dale, and you were riding ponies for around the same amount of time.
Yeah, pony shucks for around 12 years, so.
And so you feel like you've been around the game enough. So What's the thing you took most over the course of the last couple of years learning the craft and being ready?
Driving ability more than anything. Running ponies, your barreling is so quick that you learn to move your hands very quickly, and it helps you immensely as a driver, just being comfortable going out there and competing in front of a crowd. And your husbandry of your horses, it's been a great asset.
And Dale, another special thing about this year is it's going to be your dad's last year racing, the legend Ray Mitsewing. What's it mean to see your dad race one last time, and what will that feeling be like at the end of the season?
It's kind of surreal. You know, I grew up around wagons and watching him, and now I'm driving, so it's going to be his last year. It'll definitely be an emotional trip for us all, but hoping that he makes a dash for final year, and maybe I'll be racing against him. That's all I can hope for.
That'd be a weird feeling to be in the mix for that last spot if it came down to that between the two of you?
Yeah, I just played. We're all competing out there, so it's a race. Anything goes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for joining me, guys. We'll be back here later from the Lloyd X. First, let's see what's going on with our question of the day. Back to you guys in studio.
Joining us again on our show tonight is Amanda Perry. And Amanda, the Mama Coach Lloydminster is your title, and you're really you can help with all things with babies and toddlers and anything related to behavior. And one of the things we're going to talk about is just as these new little ones are ready to come into the world, and that's if you start to have early labor at home and how to manage it. So obviously this would be different if it was your first child as compared to a second or third child.
Yes, for sure, definitely.
Okay, let's talk about if it's your first child. What are some of the things that you should, maybe not just run to the hospital for, and think you got to go right away?
So if it's your first child, I suggest taking a prenatal class if you can. This can kind of help walk you through those kind of the birth process and what to expect and when to go to the hospital, as well as managing at home in those early stages of labor. That's often, it can be anywhere from a few hours to a few days. So that's a long time to kind of cope with the pain at home. So some ways that we can manage this pain at home is through water. So have a nice, warm, relaxing bath, have a couple if you need to. If your water hasn't broken, a tub is totally safe. I also suggest putting a yoga mat or a towel on the bottom of the shower. If you have a removable shower head, just putting it right above the lower back can often relieve some of that back pain that you're having. And just get on your hands and knees. Your spouse can help you run the water on your back. Often feels very good. If you have an exercise ball, you can sit on the exercise ball and just opening your hips up. Gravity can kind of help, swaying back and forth, leaning over on a bed or a couch can often feel comfortable for a mom as well. Some other ways is we talk about the hip squeeze. This one is really good for that lower back pain, as well as that pelvic pressure that we start to feel in early labor. So often I'll get a mama to sit backwards on a chair or on her hands and knees on a bed or lean over the back of a couch and just get her partner to put his hands, the palm of his hands on each side of her hips and just give a good squeeze every time she gets a contraction, which can kind of help relieve some of that pressure. Another thing we suggest is counter pressure. So either using 2 tennis balls or you can just use your fists and just putting pressure on either side of the spine on her lower back, just to relieve some of that back pressure just above her bum there.
Okay.
And a rolling pin can also work. If you have a rolling pin at home, even in labor or even not in labor, just in later pregnancy with all that back pain, you can use the rolling pin, just put some pressure and just roll up and down on her back.
A little massage.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you've had 2 children or 3 children and you think, whatever, I can wait this out, do you think that's a good idea, or is it still, it could be the same thing happening for someone in a later pregnancy as their first pregnancy?
Yes, absolutely. So often, first-time mom, it can take longer, but every pregnancy is so different as well. I often will tell the moms to look at their pregnancy individually, what they're comfortable with, maybe with their history of their last delivery, and what their doctor suggests, for sure. A good rule of thumb that we use is called the 5-1-1. So for contractions, if the contractions stop you in your tracks, take your breath away. You can't sleep, you can't really, you're trying to find ways to manage with the pain at home. That's a good indication that you're in labor. The 5-1-1 rule is when you're contracting every 5 minutes, they're lasting a minute for at least an hour. That's a good time to know when to come in.
Okay, time to go.
Yeah.
Okay, Amanda, well, thank
sure.
you very much. And again, if somebody wants more information, what's the best way to reach out to you?
So my Facebook page, the Mama Coach Amanda Perry, Lloydminster, as well as Instagram. I have Messenger on there, and our website, themamacoach.ca.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
And we're back here at the Lloyd Exhibition Association, the Stockade Convention, where we are at the CPCA TARP sale, the 20th annual CPCA TARP sale. And we got to hear from a number of drivers as well as the event staff. Exciting to have Amber LaRue in the field. Dale Mitswing, we'll see how he'll do in his second year on the tour. Also his dad's final year, of course. And interesting to see what we'll get from TARP sale auction tonight. Chris Molly has typically been the high-end winner, as PWM Steel has, in the last couple of seasons, each sponsored him for $20,000. We're expecting to see that sponsorship again from PWM Steel, but we'll see what else pops up on the horizon here with so many talented and young drivers and many veterans on the tour as well. That's it for me on this wagon here at the CPCA TARP auction. Back to you guys in studio.
He doesn't fit in there, does he?
No.
He's 6'3".
He's a little lanky for those.
Yeah, it's a bit of an understatement. And lanky.
Funny.
He's definitely lanky indeed.
Oh,
Take a look at your 7-day forecast one last time. 8 degrees tomorrow, 7 degrees Thursday, mostly cloudy there. 5 degrees Friday with a 56% chance of some flurries. 6 degrees on Saturday, 10 degrees on Sunday with some sunshine finally popping out. 13 degrees on Monday with a 60% chance of some rain. 12 degrees on Tuesday with a 56% chance of some flurries. And I kind of want to go back to that because you and I were talking about this earlier, how Josh Ryan, we were wondering if he's gonna get in that wagon.
Yeah.
But you can see his knee is like, his legs obviously bending. He's had knee and ankle problems, and
Yeah,
you know,
he's a tall, lanky kid, so it's funny to see him in the wagon. His knees are up over his head, which is so funny. He also drives a pretty small car,
Yeah,
too.
he does
So if
drive
you
a
see
stuff.
Josh Ryan on the road, he's all in his little red
a little
car.
small, looks like an Oldsmobile, even though it's a Pontiac that has a lot of problems and all that.
So definitely you'll know it's Josh for sure if you see him out
Well,
there.
that's good. Do it for us tonight, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great night.
Have a good night.